And we're live. Welcome to another great episode of Real Talk. As we've been going over the last 10 episodes, we talk about supply chain, recruitment, finance, construction. But today we're going back into supply chain to one of the most innovative new processes of recruitment. This company, Michael Roberts Solutions, is one of the first innovators in this industry, bringing on recruiting electronic component distribution, engineering, supply chain. I've never seen anybody out there. There's a lot of other firms, but he's really globalizing, changing, and paving the road and being one of those pioneers of recruitment agencies in the global supply chain, in the distribution, and really, really bringing some perspective to the hardware, to the core fundamentals of building any type of electronic components, gadgets out there that we use today. So I'm welcome to introduce Michael Roberts from Michael Roberts Solutions. And welcome, Michael. How are you?
Very well. Good evening here in the UK.
Yeah, and you're coming straight from UK. Look at this. You know, that's technology these days. Look what we're doing. We're pioneering, building those paths, and and embracing the change and pivoting to what we want to do. So I'm so happy to have you on. Let me give a little background to the people out there. I found you, honestly, I found you on LinkedIn about a year and a half ago. I saw you were like a recruitment. I'm like, who's this Michael Roberts with recruitment? I think we had a little touch base, a little back and forth. I'm like, because I've been in this industry 20 plus years. I know this industry, and I'm like, he's a recruitment. There's a recruitment for this? And then over the time, the last year and a half, I've seen that the involvement of what you've done, and you are really revolutionizing the recruitment agency. I think it's great, and that's why I want to have you on to really explain who you are, the core fundamentals of of Michael Roberts Solutions, and really who are your prospective customers and your global reach.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you. Well, like you said, we are going to market now being a sole specialist within the electronic component distribution market. So we cover mainly sales and marketing, but we also do the engineering sector. So that will be covering almost the EMS and CEM market. So I personally like to focus more on the franchise, the specialists, the independent distributors of the world. So the market, as we know, has been in turmoil, I think is the easiest way of saying it. But there are still massive opportunities out there. People are still trying to win new business. We're still trying to innovate and obviously change the working environment. So recruitment's going to be the foremost, most important thing we're going to be doing probably come 2021. So I think once we get the redundancies or shortage in the market, things are going to start rolling very, very quickly.
And I 100% agree with you, because I think recruitment, especially in this day and age this year during a pandemic, where you can't have these interviews, you can't do these things and find people. And also there's a big diversity of people, of succession happening, especially in the industry. So recruitment's going to get more and more important to bring in new talent, being awareness. But I'm going to take a step back and give me the fundamentals, the origins of Michael Roberts. And how did you get here? How did you create this? And where did you start?
It's an interesting story. On the personal side, me and my partner, we were actually going through a process of buying a house. And at the time, I've been working in the electronic component distribution market for a good 5 years. Absolutely love it. It's the most incestuous market I've ever seen or dealt with in my life. So I could name drop a few people to you, and straight away, Rob would be like, yes, no, yes, yes, no. It's the easiest way to do it. So what we did is I was working for a larger firm, really enjoying what I did. The aspiration has always been to run my own recruitment agency. So we stepped back, we looked at the finances thinking, how can we make this a plausible business, but do it in a way that is going to bring value? You can't have a recruitment agency. It's just going to put candidates here, put candidates there. I want to be able to give industry gossip. I want to be able to give hiring managers the gossip on the new projects and on new people coming into the market, what qualifications are out there, what new trends, projects. It's a minefield, but it is brilliant. Once you get really into it, it is fascinating. So that's what we did. We literally basically built a culture around the electronic component distribution market. That's why I've been very heavy on LinkedIn to show people who we are and what we do. And that's how obviously you and I got in touch.
Yeah, I mean, one number of things is add value. At the end of the day, yes. It is about a value, it's about a service. you're adding value and also making a change of how the recruitment, and also bringing, as I keep saying, bring the sexy back to the distribution and the hardware, because it was, yeah. I mean, when I even started, you know, I've been in this industry my whole life because it's from the family side, family business, but it was a lot of exciting. The 80s and 90s and early 2000s, it got really exciting, but I think things have kind of, this excitement kind of went off. I think there's a lot of transition, a lot of change, the internet, World Wide Web, but it is very fascinating because the core basis of what we're doing is the supplying components to all the new technology. Everything that's around us has components in it. Yep. And it is exciting to the supply chain you're building, especially on the engineering technical side where you're trying to build something in, hey, this project is going to this, I put those components, I designed them in, or I'm supplying them to the supply chain. And it is exciting, just like you said, adding value. And also starting something for us, like give props to as in UK, and now kind of globalizing this thing. Is how has that been? How is the globalization of being in UK? What's the challenges of being in UK and for US or Asia market? How are you getting connections?
It's all about recruitment. Is not a job. It is a lifestyle. So I end up working till stupid o'clock in the morning or late in the evenings, because obviously the US are anything from 5 to 8 hours behind me. And across Europe, it's not so bad because you've got 2 or 3 hours here and there. So it's just being flexible. But the great thing is, though, when you need me to look at people, I'm the first one up in the morning, and I'm probably one of the last to go to bed at night anyway. So it means I do get the flexibility to hit the market early. And again, it's all about connections. It's all about the people you talk to. So as long as I can keep the marketing flowing and get people interested in what we're doing, people naturally come to us because they want to find out what's going on in the market. What's the new opportunity? What is Rob Tavi doing over at IBS? What are you guys doing? What's the new innovative products that you're trying to get the demand creation into? It's people love this stuff, and there's not enough noise out there about it. Everyone's kind of keeping everything close to their chest. So I kind of want to be that voice is going to, dare I say, leak a few things out to just show the value of what the market's adding. I think it brings value in itself.
Oh yeah, of course. It's how do you, so when you're contacting some people, do you have both? I mean, what's the percentage between the corporations and the individuals connecting with you? How do you have that, you know?
In regards to the clients and candidates?
For the clients, yeah, your clients and candidates, you get mostly corporations and a big company, or you get the individuals coming to you to find a placement for in the industry?
Actually, it's a really good question, because it's a mixture of both, but there is times in the year, and I've seen this through the last couple of years, there's patterns within the year when the corporations will be in touch, or when the independents will be in touch, the people that own the business like yourself that will get in touch with me direct. So there's almost like, I call it seasonal trends. Okay. So maybe the early part of the year, the corporations will be getting in touch because they're coming up to the financial year end, so they want to get rid of the rest of the budget and use it up. And then the independent guys who own their own businesses that make those decisions can make those decisions later in the year because they want to add value, setting up the target for the next financial year.
Oh yes,
it does differ.
Yeah, right now, I mean, how many, as you say, is, I know you started from just, you know, yourself starting a little friction and coming, I mean, it is, as an entrepreneur, starting something new, bringing something that's pioneering a new recruitment. I mean, recruitment is generalized, is a very general term. You know, distribution is very general, as recruitment is, but specializing in electronics field and getting the known and who you are. How did you spread the word? I mean, of course, you're UK based. Of course, you would probably have a lot of inroads with the UK companies at first, and that's where you start. You start where you know everybody, right? So how did you start basing it? Were you traveling? Did you travel to different trade shows? How are you now doing the marketing, not just digitally, but in person before, let's say before the pandemic started, but now
before we had to close down.
Yeah.
It was interesting because it's based on the relationships I've had for the last God knows how many years. So we'll be building those relationships. We'll go out to some of the trade shows. I think in the UK, the electronic manufacturers, southern manufacturers and northern manufacturers are big exhibitions here in the UK. I know you've got a couple in Las Vegas, which I'm dying to go to. And obviously you've got one in Germany, which is
Electronica, yeah.
So all these big exhibitions are great, but I'll be honest, for when you're looking at recruitment, you don't normally need me to come to those exhibitions because you're out there trying to win clients.
Correct.
I don't want you to talk to me about recruitment. I want to go win clients. So it's just being visible. I just need to make sure I'm there. If you need me, come and talk to me. It really doesn't matter how we communicate. I think the bottom line is as long as you see value, it's not so much of an issue. Yeah. But the way we started was the UK market. So most of the UK markets have subsidiaries either in Europe, Asia, or the US. Yes. So once you infiltrate into one of them, you can normally domino affects it to the other sectors, the other industries, and the other countries. So start big in one company, then get to 2, go to 3, 4, and then obviously build up that way. So start within your roots and then work your way out.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. As it says, in networking, you build the credibility, you build the referrals, and people say, "Hey, we use Michael for this, or we use this for this," and it is because, as we know in this industry, it is the best hidden secret. It's a small industry, but the numbers are large. One of the probably second or third biggest industries in the world, and it's just growing and growing and growing because electronics are being used more than ever every single day, especially when you go to the next levels of technology and 5G. Everything's going to connect it in IoT. It's going to be even more. But moving back to that, it's, as I said, every coming to a distribution, engineering. I mean, it's always finding recruitment. You can get a talent pool from colleges and engineers and bring them in, but also a lot of companies in the distribution field sometimes want to have experience. And how do you qualify? That's one thing I want to get back to. How do you qualify your candidates? How do you find from their backgrounds where they are and fit them with the right home?
Very interesting, actually, because we're finding the trend has kind of changed over the last sort of 2 years. It's now more of a culture fit than it is an experience fit. So most people leave jobs because of management. That's 9 times out of 10 people leave jobs because they don't get on with the hiring manager. So the way we qualify is basically, what are these people aspiring to do? Where do they want to do? What sort of person do they want to work with? Someone who would want to work with you, Rob, might not want to work with someone else in the industry because personalities might clash. It might not be a nice environment. So we're finding it is very much changing onto a culture front. So the way we can qualify it is we get to know them. We befriend people. We understand. I spend hours on the phone with people. We talk not once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. At the end of the day, these people end up being friends for life. And 9 times out of 10, they become hiring managers. So why would we not want to build up these long-term relationships with candidates that are going to make it an easy transition to a client?
Of course.
So qualifying on the graduate side, graduates are brilliant because they're fresh. They don't really understand how the culture of the business works, but they've got a mindset of where they want to go in regards to technology. And sometimes we find that a little bit easier. He wants to go in power. That guy wants to go do semiconductors. This guy wants to do lithium batteries or something like this. So it's quite easy to pinpoint which clients should fit with that. So and then we obviously need to roll into the sort of culture fit and what they're actually looking for, and geographical as well. Because some guys in the US are actually looking for people in the UK to start helping build a European market, and vice versa. We're getting UK companies that want to go over to the US and try and conquer that market. So there's a lot of global transparency and transitions, I think is the easiest way of saying it.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Globalization has really changed. Everything's globalization, technology, people are moving facilities, things around. But it's also finding the right talent. And you're right. Through the aging demographic, as you know, I mean, I don't know how it is, but we have aging demographic here in the U.S. It's a very aging demographic. Succession's happening next 5 to 10 years. We will have a lot of succession, or companies, maybe they won't have a succession, they get bought out, or they probably go out of business. We don't know. And then there's a new talent. And in my opinion, I think there's a shortage of it, especially in the States, of bringing in new talent or recruitment into the industry because they don't understand it. People don't understand it. And how do you see it on your side? What are you seeing out there? I mean, from the succession side, are you facing the same thing in Europe? Do you see the same thing of succession and the aging demographic, the new generation coming in?
I think it's the same across all industries. Okay. I think any senior level, it's hard to find someone you can get 30 years experience from that, bless them, they've worked hard all their life. They want to retire. They want to enjoy their lives. So the Asian geographic sort of that way inclined is going to be slightly different. They need to start passing that information on to the fresh people, the ones that want to get into this market and build a career from it. But you're right. There is definitely a shortage in the market of fresh new talent because most companies want someone to walk in that can bring a wealth of knowledge. Not many people have, dare I say, an apprenticeship scheme where they can take on people and build up their knowledge. It's a very unique situation, and I wish we had the answers for it, but it's all down to the client. If they can't physically get the time to train people and get them up to speed, then they're going to be okay for the next 5-10 years. But after that, what are they going to do?
No,
it's going to be
I agree, and that's what I wanted to discuss. I mean, all this is going back to the aging demographic, bringing in interns from that process to the new college graduates, and going into companies in distribution, technology, engineering, rep firms, or even basic manufacturing supply chain. So right now, you're who are your majority of your clients? Are they in the distribution, manufacturing, representative? Where do you most emphasis, or where is that?
Yes, so great question. So I do not cover the OEM market.
Okay.
So as a business, we cover the electronic component distribution sector. So that'll be franchise, independent, specialist disties, and CEM and EMSs.
Okay.
So the OEM side, to go back on your point about the sort of aging demographic of people, the OEMs are actually pretty good at going into the universities and colleges and actually getting onto the programs to say, come and look at us as soon as you graduate. The distribution arm is slightly different because unless you're a product manager or you're an FAE who's got the technical experience of actually dealing with it, nine times out of 10, these people come from an OEM to a distributor. So I think there's still going to be a lot of transferable changing of markets across that. But for us, it's always going to be distribution 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And through the globalization, and now a lot of companies, the acquisitions and the merging in the last 5 to 10 years. I mean, you've seen everybody's acquiring, especially the OEM side, the chip guys, everybody's buying everybody. It's funny, it's such a big market, but the power players in the semiconductor are getting smaller and smaller. Everybody's buying technology, buying each other. But on the distribution side, there has been a lot of consolidation as well. And what have you seen, expand with the consolidation of the franchises, the independent, the hybrids, or all of this? What have you seen and felt with the turnover? Do you see when the acquired people fall out, or what is it you see on your end?
It's very interesting. The acquisitions have been a massive point over the last 3 years. So I don't know if we're allowed to name drop, but certain major franchise distributors are going around picking up all these smaller franchise distributors and incorporating them into one big organization. And then they'll call it the family tree, or they will rebrand it and take this company and merge it together to make something beautiful and unique and different. The transition's quite interesting in some respects in recruitment because people get nervous. As soon as the transition or acquisition happens, we get a massive influx of people making inquiries because they don't know if their job's going to be safe. Are they going to be part of the new structure or process that's going to be brought into this company? So I can name quite a few over the last couple of years where certain acquisitions have happened, and I'm having to work 12-hour days because I've got to keep up with the demand of candidates wanting to call me. But it's interesting how people get nervous. Maybe that is, dare I say, if there's any major CEOs watching and listening to this, maybe it's a lack of educating your staff that you're fine. We're going to look after you. We just need to deal with the management transition first.
Yeah, the communication, but also goes to, acquisition happens, culture changes, things different. Yeah. Things differ, the way things at the organization structure, because as a corporate, especially big corporate, there's multi-layers. And who they were talking to, who they're reporting to, people aren't comfortable with that. And at the end of the day, it's about building that connection and communication. As you said, the communication maybe from the top isn't so clear to the people in the middle or the bottom, wherever they're located, and they get discomfort or they get nervous because they don't want to lose their job. What's going on? Which brings us to the point of what's really happened in the last 6 months of going into this pandemic and how that's really changed the business model, changed the businesses. So how have you evolved during this, and what have you seen in your experience from starting this in late Feb to March till we are currently in August? What has happened, and what's your experience with the recruitment side, companies, recruitment, laying off or bringing on? What have you seen?
It has been a real mixture, absolute real mixture. For us personally as a business, unfortunately, we had to make a redundancy within the business, and we've got a furlough scheme here in the UK, which it's been quite rewarding in some respects, keeping those staff and obviously keeping them on furlough for a period of time. From what I understand from the people I'm talking to and the clients I'm talking to, the demand didn't really go away. If anything, most companies had one of their best months in April. So all the work they'd done sort of January, February, March still rolled into April. So there was no shortage there. I think May pretty much dropped off a cliff. June came back up. And then I'm hearing July, August was not a great month to be around. But again, redundancies are all going to be part and parcel of this. Recession, as soon as we kick in, the big guys have got to look after their shareholders. They've got to look after their interests. They want to make sure they're going to be here for 2021. Correct. So I think there's been a lot of disgruntled people in the market because they feel, actually, I've worked my bum off for this company. I should be looked after. And sometimes you have to just think, don't take it personally. This is not a personal vendetta against you. It's just business. People need to sustain business. They need to make sure they're going to survive the pandemic. So redundancies have happened. People have been on a longer furlough than expected. Some people have actually opted to come out of the industry and try something slightly different. So I've never experienced anything like this apart from when we had the recession in 2008, which was quite similar. So there's going to be a lot of people in the market. Companies can, dare I say, tailor pick who they're going to want to come back later in time. So people are going to have to sit down, pay attention to what they want, and actually make a plan of where is my career going? Where do I want to invest the rest of my time? I think that goes part and parcel of what the companies are trying to do. They want to invest their time, find the right people to invest there, and get that marriage together.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, because it's unprecedented. We know it doesn't matter. We went to something there was unknown, and the uncertainty for all corporations, you know, from our company to all different sizes. It doesn't matter of scale. There's too much uncertainty. And at the end of the day, you're right. Everybody is in the business to make money. So it's, especially corporate level, the shareholders, they need to make changes. And it affects everybody similarly. But when you have tens of thousands of employees compared to 50 employees or 10 employees, it's you're feeling the same pain with different ways. And at the end of the day, it's like you're trying to secure a business and make changes, or the furloughs, just like we had here. We had, of course, the government helped a lot of companies with the furloughs, tried to give, subsidies and things like this to extend that. And but we're still in the midst of it, and unemployment's still there. That's when we get into the unemployment. How is the unemployment? Do you see more talent coming in, or more recruitment? Are you getting more resumes? How is that going?
So resumes is all I do at the moment. Is pretty much exactly 100% what I do. So I've actually offered my services out to my LinkedIn members and anyone who's following me or connects with me. If you want me to review your CV, again, this is a free service. It's not going to cost me. It's going to take me 10 minutes of my time. It's going to help you out tremendously, actually getting a relevant CV in front of clients. So don't be afraid to drop me a line, send your CV, get it reviewed, because you just don't know what you're missing. And I've been doing it for nearly, 15, 16 years now. So I know what a decent CV looks like. So it's going to be fundamentally important to make sure you're structured, you know what you want, how you're going to present yourself. And again, open the market up again. So it makes it easy for all of us.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And that, going back to the resumes, as we know, there's a lot of resumes. People can make them fancy. So what's the protocol you go into for, it's good for everybody out there listening too. Everybody gets these fancy resumes. They've done all this, made all this money, and made this, saved $3 million, or top sales of the millions of dollars. And then all of a sudden they're leaving. I'm like, why are you leaving? Doesn't make sense. So how do you qualify these resumes, the people coming in? What do you do? What are the steps and the basic macro version of how you go reviewing this? For your clients? Trade secrets. You want all the trade secrets? I don't know. Don't give me the micro. I just want the 10,000 foot view. That's the view. I think it's good to understand that, and how that really works, and especially for people watching, to get tips of how to actually, make something that's relatable, that doesn't blow everybody out of the water. It's like the guy shows up and they don't even know what they wrote on their resume, really.
Exactly that. People do not know what they've written in a resume because it's probably about 5 years old. Yeah. So it's interesting because there was a lot of research done a few years ago where they were asking clients, how long do you spend reading a CV? And it was a generic 30 seconds. And if you drill down to it, they spend 6.25 seconds reviewing your CV or resume. So what are going to be the fundamental things you want them to pick out as soon as they scan read it? So the first page for us is fundamentally important. You need to have a good profile, as in not I am ambitious, I am a driven person, I am a good team player, I am this, I am that. Yeah. It's just waffle. You need to, I cover this sector with these sort of key accounts. These are the products I've been managing over the last sort of 10 years. I've had great success and achievements in this side. I've been key account manager in this company. I can look after $5 million worth of business dealing with this, this, and this. That is a great paragraph to put in your first part of your CV or resume. Followed by achievements. You're a salesperson, or if you're a marketing person, it all evolves down to either products or figures. People want to know what products you're looking after, what are the figures of you looking after, and what are the sectors you'll be managing. So get that in the first two paragraphs, key achievements, get some on there, and then set out your career history in an easy format. Stop trying to make it so beautiful and glamorous and sparkly and everything like that. Make it simple to read. People are busy. They don't want to sit there reading everything thinking you're the best thing since sliced bread. Make it easy, make it simple, and the rest of it's child's play. Again, you're just trying to give an employer an invitation to talk to you. You're not trying to win the job based on your resume.
You hit the nail on the head. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head right there. I mean, it's just like any business. You're trying to win the seat at the table. to get the interview or to get the opportunity, right? You're not trying to win the like, oh, this resume is going to get me the job like this. And that's where we hit the nail on the head. And that's what people have to understand. It doesn't matter if you're going for a job or you're going to win an opportunity to quote on a piece of business or bid. It's just to get the opportunity to sit at the table, to be able to, and have dialogue, introduce yourself. Do you build the human connection? Are you trustworthy? And these are all the things that happen. And it's funny. That's typical sales. So when you're selling yourself as a resume, or you see, and can you define for a lot of people out there, what does a CV mean? Because I think the US people are not very common with the CV, but with the I am, because I know I do international, but the US is very resume based.
Yeah, well, to be fair, everyone knows it's a global thing. So the quick invite of a CV, it's just exactly what a resume is. It's just a list out of what you're doing. It's not rocket science. But the interesting thing I wanted to say as well on the sort of reputation side, everybody knows everyone in this industry. So don't be trying to fool anyone by putting certain aspects on your resume that are not completely correct, because you do get found out pretty quickly. And I've had a few of those over the last few weeks where people are trying to get things, making it look a little bit glamorous. And then the LinkedIn profile say something completely different. Try and marry them up, try and make them look exactly the same.
Well, you just nailed it there on the digital side, is that everything needs to align.
We're in a social media platform, aren't we? Everything's social media.
And our DNA is on the World Wide Web. Our DNA is as being, if you want to be, as I say, tell all my salespeople, all global staff, if you want to be a professional salesperson, if you want to be known, you have to put yourself out there. You can't hide yourself in a hole and say, no, I want to hide my everything about me. Yeah, you can hide your family life or your personal life, but your business life needs to be out there, because at the end of the day, when you contact a prospect and they see, say, name Michael Roberts and he works for XYZ company, they're going to Google you. Or if they're really interested to get, I saw something, I'm persuaded to give him an opportunity, but I want to find out more about him and his company. And I'll, as I said, the google.com has everything you need about DNA, and you can look at that and get information. Oh, okay, I see he has content, he has a video, he has a good LinkedIn profile, he comes from a credible, and then it's like, okay, you know what? I'll give him an opportunity, I'll reply to him. And these are all the things, as they profile you before they even respond to you. And it doesn't matter if you're a resume, your opportunity. And that's why I tell you have to build that. Are you a professional, or you're hiding things? And still in our industry, as you know, we have a lot of resistance to it. I think it's a very new to, I think in a lot of software tech, a lot of other business, it's very common. There's a lot more of that happening, millions and hundreds of millions of people happening. But in our industry, it's not as predominant. I think 50% people are, 50% people aren't. And especially when you get to the franchises, or even to the independent, the hybrid distribution. So people don't, and because it becomes a very, like, they're hiding things. They don't want people to know or what's going on. And that's a good question for you. It's like, how do you feel, what do you see right now between the franchises and the independents, the hybrid distribution, and the mix of business? What do you see people going to or being attracted to more? What business sector?
Interesting. Obviously, the medical market sector is obviously fundamentally important right now. Everyone's trying to get involved. Excuse me. The aerospace obviously has fallen off a cliff, so people are trying to diversify into the government and the military markets, which is great. A lot of the people getting involved in lighting now, which is good. Power is going to be a phenomenal market. We know this. We're seeing the trends actually bowling over the next couple of years. It's going to be mind-boggling how quick these industries and sectors are going to progress. The EV market, the electrical vehicle market, that is going to be huge as well. So there's definitely things to get excited about. And the transitions from franchise to independent, the guys on the franchise side are still, again, representing these massively brilliant manufacturers in the world that can give you relatively good lead times. Some of the independent guys have a little bit more of resilience now, because they can go to any shelf and pick it off of what they need. They can help their clients out by picking these products wherever they need to get them from. I think one thing we need to make very clear is the fraudulent components, the counterfeits out there, people still need to be massively aware of, and not just going to buy components to source for the clients just because it's there. Need to do your due diligence. People still working certifications and certifications for products. So I think we're going to see a massive switch over the next sort of 6 months to 8 months of more quality control. People are going to do a lot more testing, in-house testing, and people are actually going to pay a lot more money to have that service, because the lead times are going to be stupid. So they're going to be cautious about where these products are going to be coming from.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think that, as I said, I had that podcast a week ago with the VP of Erai, which was one of the first fraudulent or counterfeit mitigation companies. They're very good, and because as I said, and it comes with data, and they use their data very meticulously. I mean, don't get me wrong, everybody has their positive and negatives overall, but they're very reputable. There's accreditations for all the top tier 1 companies they use that have to be part of that. But I agree. I mean, we had a big discussion about that, and it was very insightful, and it was to learn what's going on, and especially when you have the experience traveling the world, especially in Asia. And as you said, one of their first counterfeit components came from China, the suspect. That's where it all started. I mean, I don't know, it all started, but that's one of the first reported that they found. So I don't like to say pinpoint certain sectors or regions, but that's really where it started from the late 90s to early 2000s, and everything started coming. And today, and it was very fascinating to say, is that when the shortages come, it's not about, he said 2018 was the first year that integrated circuit wasn't the number 1 counterfeit product. It was MLCCs. Yeah. And that's a big thing, because everybody wants the high price, but the volume, and it's all changed. So, but that's fascinating, I think, that you see, because you, as a recruitment side, you talk to a lot of corporations. You talk to a lot of people. You talk to a lot of the leaders. What's going on, and you get their vision and what their outlook is. So for you, it also makes a decision of who recruitment is and moving forward for our industries and what's happening. As I said, you think that I think once we get out of this global pandemic, and we have, especially in the U.S., we have a election year. Once we get that uncertainty and that solidified, I think things will have a lot more. Because at the end of the day, the U.S. still is the powerhouse. They're the movers. Everything is. We're still so uncertain. Once that's solidified by the end of the year, I think we have a direction. I think people start executing a lot more of the orders, a lot more supply chain, and a lot of things moving forward. But I want to touch base on one area that you discussed is with the sectors of business, right? Where do you see, as in saying, the needs right now for a lot of these companies? Are they looking for more technical people, or are they looking for just more of the buy and sell type of candidate salespeople? What do you see in the marketplace?
Very, very interesting. Normally in a normal market where we haven't got a pandemic, the sort of mid-year to late year, we look at a lot of internals. So people are trying to fundamentally get their internal sales team and support up to speed. Then later in the year, we get more of a demand for technical salespeople. So FAEs, people that can obviously go to clients and do demand creation. With the pandemic coming into play, it's very much changed. People are more interested in what accounts have you got, who do you know, because it's about that relationship. So I'm not seeing any sort of technical prowess. I'm not getting many clients asking me, I need someone specialist within power or specialist within semiconductors or anything like that. They want people that have sustainable relationships. So it's almost like we've gone 5 years forward, but then 10 years back, because the old school way is about taking a guy out for a pint and a pie, we call it. So it's building that relationship and making sure that you've got sustainability in one account, and then build that one accounts 2, 3, 4, 5. So most of my clients are asking me, Michael, do you know people out there at the moment that have sustainable business? Because we're finding the orders coming through, it's minute compared to the order values you normally get, but people are still buying. There's still demand out there. It's just little and often now. You're not getting the big bulk orders that you would normally get. So people want to know who have those orders, who have those relationships that they can bring with them. So it's about knowing the people in the industries.
Yeah.
So for me, it's all about knowledge.
It's all about knowledge, relationship, and building the human connection and having that connection to get the opportunity. And you're right. Sometimes you find salespeople, you won't do that relationship, because starting from zero is very difficult. And just like we were talking about, building into a supply chain, being on the AVL or approved supplier is much more difficult than it used to ever be, because there's a lot of hurdles you have to jump through, certifications, processes, as everything. Like for ourselves, I mean, the last 5 years, we're now AS 9120, AS 6081, we have Erai, ECI. We're part of every organization, ITAR, everything to make sure that we can, we don't have any types of roadblocks when we go into new customers. But at the end of the day, it's also, a lot of customers don't want to add more suppliers to the supply chain because they already have too many. I don't want to buy something. So when you were talking about add value, they want to add suppliers that add value. They want to add value that consolidates their supply chain, correct? They want to do something that has the value. So one thing when going from franchises, a lot of franchises they're fantastic. I mean, all the guys from Erai, Avnus, TTI, if you can name all these top 5, top 10, we all know them, but they're also, they don't have the, they're also focused on certain brands and they can't do everything. You know, so then it goes to there's a hybrid or the independents or the large specialists that can bring the value and not just focus on the tier 1 brands, but they can bring tier 2, tier 3 because their spends are huge. Indirect materials, chemicals, adhesives, of all this. You really realize everybody has their own niche and what they get into and the companies out there because everything's digital. And at the end of the day, anybody could go online, especially in electronic component distribution, and find the component, find the price, and find the stock most of the time. They know what the price is. Online prices, we all know, is not it's a high retail price, as you would say, right? But when you come into a shortage market, it's that stock is king. Price is not the biggest. Yeah, stock is king.
It's a great thing you said that. Inventory, I'm hearing a lot at the moment with the people I'm talking about. They are talking about inventory. They're trying to get rid of excess inventory. But then I would argue the point, because some people are saying the inventory we're having at the moment is causing us to obviously have a shortage of cash flow. But then if you come out of this pandemic, the people that are stocking the products on the shelves, in my opinion, they're going to be king. They're going to be the ones that are going to be able to resource for their clients a lot quicker. So the lead times will play a massive effect in 2021. I think we had the same in 2018. So 2018, it was an abundance, the best year that most people have had. So people are laughing, sitting there, just taking order after order after order. Oh my God, I can go in Vegas. I'm going on holiday. It's going to be the best year ever. Come 2019, massive overspend. Right. Okay. We need to start re-looking at the refund policy because people are trying to return this stock. We can't return this stock. And again, the excess inventory, again, the stuff over in Hong Kong and China, there's just lots of it out there. So I would always argue the facts. And again, please, I'm not working in directly with the people like your Avnets, your Arrows, all the big franchise guys, but keep your stock on the shelf. Surely this is going to be king when you get to the point of normality, when people are still saying, I need to build these products. Give me the components, otherwise I'm going to go elsewhere. So I think massively stock will be key.
I 100% agree. Stock is key, but it also comes to the point of having it. And I see it. We said a lot of our customers, EMS, especially EMS, they are trying to move a lot of stock. And it's two things: you can move it, but you move it for 10% of the cost, and they move it, and then they need it again. And but also that, again, it comes back to the supply chain, the traceability, the processes. Everybody right now is just worrying about quality aspect, where the part's coming from, the counterfeits. But when there's no stock and they need it, they're going to have to go out there and do the testing. Just as they have to invest in testing, testing protocols.
Get a lot more expensive.
A lot of things are going to change in the world of traceability. You know, as I said, I've been into some seminars talking about that. I mean, we got into that. It's like the blockchain. Blockchain will be a process that companies will be coded. And because you know, traceability, everything has a paper. The paper is like, this thing could be counterfeited to 100. It's like, how does this thing even new, you know? But actually having a code on the part, or code they can, within 2 seconds, they run it through I say blockchain, you can have it within less than a second, you know exactly the origination, where it came from, where it happened. But right now, to find origination, you have to go to the back. It takes a whole process, 1, 2, 3 weeks to go to one of these tier 1 OEMs to figure out where this product came from, where was it made, what region was it supposed to sold to. But with this new technology that will be coming, in the future, it's like it'll be instant. With food, food preparation, because everything has count. It's not just components. We know that it's one of the biggest markets, multi-billion-dollar market of everything. Foods.
There's no sector we can't cover.
Yeah,
there's no sector that IBS cannot sell to. What sector can you not sell to?
Yeah, it's everything. It's in there. And that's what it is. So it's very fascinating. So for you, going forward, and what you see out there, as I said, we talked about over the sectors that are thriving. Some of the sectors that are going down, and also, what is your outlook right now? You feel for the recruitment side, bringing people in, also the business in the next year. What's your optimism? What have you heard, especially from Europe side? Because I know Europe's different right now than the US is a bit, but everybody is. So what are you hearing out there?
Well, Europe actually is in probably a worse situation than the US. So the US are actually still doing relatively well. So the European market and the UK market, there is signs of a bounce back. I know there's a lot of clients out there probably shouting at me now saying, are you for real? But there's a lot of people out there that are agreeing with me. You're seeing an influx of orders come through. Again, it's not the big bulk orders, but it's the small gradual numbers coming through. Yes. So it's sustainable business. So I put a poll out on LinkedIn. It was about 3 weeks ago, asking my connections exactly that question. When do you think the bounce back will happen? When do you think we can start to be in a bit more optimistic about where we're going to find the market going? And it was very, very interesting, but yet confusing, because a lot of people were saying September. So 10% were saying September, 10% were saying October, 8% were saying December, but then the bulk of it was saying 2021. And I'm kind of sitting there thinking, why are you waiting until 2021? You got the PS5 that's coming out for December this year. Apparently there's a shortage for components for that. The iPhones are constantly coming out. They've got shortage for that. They've got 5G. So again, product shortage for these things coming out as well. There is a big demand, but people need to start, adapting quicker. And the people who are adapting quicker are going to get jobs the quickest. And we are still placing people. It's not saying the market is completely frozen, because it's not. There are companies on recruitment freeze, but there's still other companies that will take people on if you can show value. So if I had to put my hand on my heart, right, 2021, January 2021, we're going to be back to normality. People are going to start taking this seriously, and it's going to be business as usual.
Yeah, I think it'll be even bigger demand. I 100% agree. And it's funny, is like you're talking about the tier 1 companies that could have shortages, but the tier 1 companies are one and they get the allocation, but the tier 2, tier 3 smaller companies, if you think they're going to be hurt, they're going to have the biggest challenges to get the components and the builds. And because a lot of people are going to execute right now, even in our side, we have a lot of defense contracts, defense orders. Our lead times are 30, 40, 50 weeks. And even these defense guys are like, we need to figure this out. We need to get this thing part done. They used to be able to wait. They're like, no, we need it now. Our customer, we have a project delivery. We can't wait 30, 40 weeks. But these are custom made products. It's not like it's just an MLCC or connector you can cross. These are high reliability components that, very rare you can find, but it's going to happen in the same thing. That comes to all the components and being a specialist in a component in the passive electromechanical ICs. Because as you know, everybody in this day, as you probably know yourself with recruitment, everybody wants to sell ICs. It's also the passives. I just say 2018 was a very passive year. And passives are going to get more and more because the form factors are getting smaller. Tantalums are getting more and more obsolete. Also, the case sizes are getting smaller. So there's a lot of change in design. Right? They're going to be used more and more. And then the cabling and all the indirect materials and everything goes to that. It is more and more. And power uses a lot of passive components, so and the inductors, these are all the things that come into play. It's not just the ICs, because at the end of the day, the ICs companies are consolidating. TIs, analogs, everybody's buying each other. Everybody's getting smaller. Maxims, they're all getting smaller. But then the passive guys are still just as large. They're large. There's a lot more, and there's diversity in different things. So I think that being a specialist in the multiple areas and just focusing on a part number and also that's what I want to understand. Talk to you about. Also, adding values, understanding where the product goes into, because I feel like a lot of people in the company are just selling by part number. They're not selling what the solution they're doing and where is it going into, and how are they adding value for the customer and asking questions.
It's a great question, and unfortunately, I don't think I can give you a proper answer for that because I don't think many people generally know. I don't think they sit down and actually take it in to say, where is this product going? Do they care? They're just part numbers. Like, give me the bill of materials, give me the BOM. I'll send out the RFQ. My job's done. I think the people that go a little above and beyond now and actually pay an interest are going to be the ones getting sustainable business. I was going to switch it back to you though, Rob. So what are you finding at the moment? Which sectors for you do you think are more buoyant, and which ones are going to pick up by the next sort of 6 months?
Right now, of course, medical has been very stable. We had a big upsurge the first 2 quarters, which was good. But then the power has been stable too. We deal with some of the big power companies globally, and the business has been pretty consistent. Even though they're running at 50%, 60% capacities, the business is pretty consistent because everything needs power, and everything needs more and more power. And we're talking about just chargers. We're talking about high-end infrastructure power, 3-phase power systems, inverters, converters, all of these parts. Those are very high in demand. When it goes into EV, these are all high demand items that go into. And also defense. Defense that hasn't stopped. That spending is there. Every nation has it.
Spending money on these
yeah, you know, our great leader Trump is spending, and that's there. Of course, the automotive is really hit hard. I don't see a rebound coming till at least 2021 for that, because the capacities have dropped. People are buying, and a lot of the used car market, as you say, has gotten a bit better, but the new car market, people a little more, they hold back more because people get a little more conservative with their money, conservative of what they want to spend on and what really is going forward. But it comes to, I see a lot of automation, the connectivity, IoT, a lot of these wearables, a lot of these things are getting more and more. People are buying more and more equipment. Of course, now digital, all these areas. But it's funny, the high power side, in my opinion, is very strong, industrial high power. But then there's some power industries that are not so strong. They're actually, you know, they've been very hit hard. So in every sector, there is a certain product, you know, area, category that's thriving, and then some are not, because it's like, oh, I'm a power company and that, you know, our business is down. Well, yeah, there are certain contracts and certain things out there that it is, but. And you know, because our company really focuses on power, we're very power heavy. Our components are very power, so that's really where I see. And as I said, I want to get your services involved to help us with those power experts and move forward. And that's really where I see the things moving forward. At the end of the day, wearables, power. Solar, EV, I think those are the ways, and you know, sensors. Of course, sensors are in everything now, and that sensor is everywhere. But I really think that's going to be really thriving in the next 6 months to 1 year. I think aerospace, just like you said, is going to be. There's no planes flying. There's no retrofitting happening really. You can't, because there's a big MRO business in that too as well. And also comes to data centers. Data centers, everything is cloud computing. Nobody wants to host, even ourselves. Everything for us is cloud-based. We're using our Microsoft or AWS, Amazon. We're using, everything's cloud-based, and we're doing our software, we're cloud-based software. So everything's cloud-based. So there needs to be storage, and nobody wants to have the hardware internally and the maintenance. It's actually cheaper now to have a company, a large company, do the cybersecurity, all the stuff for you, and contract it out and have a service company handle it all for you, because it's less headache, you know. So those data centers, they need a lot of servers. They need, you know, solid state from the mechanical. A lot of them are still mechanical drives, the HDD market, and all these are big markets that are still there. But as I said, it's the uncertainty. You know, I can tell you something today, and who knows next month what's going to happen, because that's really what's happening. Who would have known, you know? Yeah.
Again, I think people are going to start realizing that when they start looking for jobs as well. God forbid anyone gets made redundant. Obviously, I don't wish that upon anyone. But sometimes you have to take it with a pinch of salt, or maybe a saving grace. Yeah. It's the next chapter in your life. You've got to start sitting down and analyze what you want to do. Well, yeah. So see it for the positives and not the negatives.
So, you know, while you're wrapping this up, I just want to leave it for any messages for out there for your current clients, potential clients, anything out there from Michael Roberts.
Yes. So be patient. Be patient. Recruitment. We're not just a recruitment agency that are going to fire you over CVs. Again, we're trying to be industry experts. We're trying to give you the information you're going to need. We speak to many, many people every week, every day about what the market trends are. They're the guys who we class as the foot soldiers. Mm-hmm. They know what's going on at firsthand. Again, management are at the top seeing the figures, but these guys are trying to interact with clients. Be patient. It is coming. The bounce back is on its way. Mm-hmm. So don't be afraid to start looking back and investing into staff. And again, anyone who's struggling out there or feels they need a CV review, or just wants a professional opinion or a second opinion on their CV, fire it over to me on my email address and subtitle it CV or resume review, and I will review it within 24 hours and send it back to you. And again, we're here to help. We're not just here to find you a job. We're here to help and give you some industry expertise.
You heard it from the man himself, Michael Roberts, the man, the myth, the legend, Electronic Component Distribution Recruitment. I am so happy. Thank you for giving me your time. Thank you for doing this. Hopefully, maybe we can do this on a quarterly basis. You know, get updates from you would be fantastic.
Always here to help.
Yeah, always here to help. So very good. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Michael. And remember, everybody, be smart, be thoughtful, be generous, and we'll see you on the next Real Talk episode.
Good luck, everyone.